Japan's breaking point, tourism, tensions, and the Yamanashi train incident. Stick around, guys, as we take a deep dive into why Japan is currently facing off against a number of tourists as well as some of their permanent residents. Japan is currently witnessing a phenomena that is both an economic miracle and a social nightmare. In early 2026, arrival numbers have hit heights that we haven't seen since the pre-pandemic era, and then some. But the omotenashi, or selfless hospitality that Japan is world famous for, is being tested like never before. We've seen the barriers go up in the Fuji Kawaguchi-ko. We've seen the bans on tourists in Gion's private alleys. But a recent incident in Yamanashi Prefecture has moved the conversation from annoying behaviour to public safety, sparking a fierce debate about the future of foreign visitors and residents in the land of the rising sun. Before we get into the specifics of the fight, we have to look at the pressure cooker environment of current Japanese travel. The yen remains extremely weak compared to historical records, making Japan a bargain destination for the West and neighbouring Asian countries. But the infrastructure isn't keeping up. We aren't just talking about full hotels, we're talking about kanko kogai, or tourism pollution. Local residents in places like Kyoto or Yamanashi, where you get beautiful views of Mount Fuji, can no longer board their own commuter buses or trains because they are packed with oversized suitcases. Basic rules like don't eat while you're walking or keep your voice down on the train, disposing of trash properly, are being ignored at a scale that is overwhelming local government resources. When people are squeezed into tight spaces, tempers often flare. According to reports from Japan Today and other local news outlets, there was a physical altercation that broke out between groups of foreign tourists on a train heading through Yamanashi Prefecture, the primary artery for those visiting Mount Fuji. Witnesses suggest the dispute began over something as trivial as seating or space for luggage, a common flashpoint in these narrow-gauge mountain trains. What started as a verbal argument spiraled into a physical shoving and shouting match. In the confined space of a Japanese train carriage, a place traditionally reserved for near-total silence, this wasn't just a fight, it was a profound cultural violation. The train was delayed, police were called to the station, and the images of brawling quickly began circulating on Japanese social media. What makes this story significant isn't just the fight itself, because fights happen everywhere. It's the context. Because it involved foreign nationals in a high-traffic tourist zone, it has become Exhibit A for those arguing that Japan's doors are open too wide. This leads us to the rising tide of anti-foreigner sentiment in Japan. We have to talk about the Gaijin card. In Japan, media narratives often generalize the actions of a few individuals to an entire group. This incident feeds into a growing sentiment known as tourist phobia. For the average Japanese citizen, watching the evening news, they don't see two individuals having a bad day. They see a threat to the wa, or the social harmony. It makes life harder for foreign residents, people who live, work and pay their taxes in Japan, as well as those tourists who come here with the best intentions and are well mannered. They're often lumped in with these short-term tourists who are misbehaving by the frustrated locals. Right-leaning news outlets use these brawls to suggest that the influx of foreigners is eroding Japan's safety, a core part of national identity. So we need some better solutions. What is the answer? Is it for more black screens blocking Mount Fuji? Probably not. But we need more sophisticated approach to managing the Golden Route traffic. Japan is already experimenting with this. Mount Fuji has now seen a climbing fee and a daily hiker cap being applied. We need to see tourist-only pricing for certain high-traffic transit lines during peak hours, with discounts or rebates for local residents. This has been considered as one potential solution for the problems of increasing tourist numbers over the amount that can be handled by the local infrastructure. Whether this is a correct way or not, or fair to everybody, remains up for debate by the politicians. One of the problems is that when tourists arrive in Tokyo, they often want to see the same Japanese highlights. Destination reels often show Kyoto and Mount Fuji, Nagoya and Osaka. And this one route in particular is often deemed the golden route, because every tourist wants to use it in their short time here. This puts a massive strain on that route though, and increases the problem that everyone wants to be in the same 5 square miles of Kyoto or Yamanashi for their Mount Fuji pictures. The government needs to invest heavily in marketing alternative Japan. If you want the old Japan feel without the brawl on the train, look towards Tohoku in the north, Shikoku or Kyushu in the far west. Digital pre-education, customs and border protection should work with airlines to provide mandatory etiquette briefings via app or video before landing. Understanding that a train is a silent zone, should be a prerequisite for entry, not something you learn via a police intervention. The Yamanashi fight was likely about bags. Expanding the hands-free travel or takuhaibin service that extends all around Japan to deliver your luggage from airport to destination without you having to drag them through the streets for a very reasonable fee should be expanded so that tourists never have to bring their large suitcases onto packed commuter trains. This would probably solve about 50% of the friction points overnight. Japan is at a crossroads. It needs the money that tourism brings, especially with a shrinking domestic economy, but it cannot afford to lose its social cohesion. The Yamanashi incident is a warning light on the dashboard. If the government and the tourism industry don't start managing people instead of just counting heads, the anti-foreigner sentiment that we see today will only harden. But what do you think? Is Japan being too sensitive, or are tourists generally losing the script? If you have travelled to Japan recently, or if you live here, let me know your experiences in the comments below, and I'll read them all. And please hit the like and subscribe button to stay up to date with all the news and latest information from the Asian News Review. Stay safe, be friendly, and be educated. That's all for today. See you in the next video. Asian News Review out.